Well, aloha everyone, and welcome to Human Anatomy and Physiology here at Chaminade University. In light of the recent rise of COVID cases here on Oahu, our President Bobbington has made the executive decision to start the fall semester entirely online. So this welcome video is going to serve as an orientation to you to show you where you can find all of the relevant materials and information on the Canvas website. To start off with, I'm going to be posting all of my video lectures on my YouTube channel, so I don't have any of them up yet, but I'll be working on them. You can see I have Anatomy 152. I'm also going to be doing that for my other classes, so you'll have to make sure you're looking for Anatomy 151 classes. And then as those go along, I'll be posting them in the Files section. So in the Files section, you'll be able to find all of the information for each of the units that we'll be working with. So for example, if I click on the Introduction section, which is here, Intro to the Human Body, you'll be able to find the PowerPoint presentation that I would be reading to you and also will be using in the video lecture, and then also a very short study guide that's kind of a Cliff Notes version of what we're going to be going over for that chapter, which you can then use for your review later on when we're getting to the exam session. Just to orient you a little bit here, let me show you our course schedule. Bobbington has said that we are going to be online through September 11th, which is the first 3 weeks of class. So that's going to take us here, and that means that we're going to be getting through chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this online format. So that means that I'd like you to orient yourself and get yourself started and acclimated to what's going on here in our Canvas shell. To that end, let's talk a little bit about getting started. So I have that YouTube channel that I demonstrated, and if this link will take you there, please go over there and subscribe it. It'll give you an automatic update every time I upload information. I'll also send you an email that says, hey, I've sent out our lecture video. And here's some of the other things that you might need to find. So that course schedule that I had open for you, I have that both for the lab and for the course. So right now I'm in the lab section, so that's the lab syllabus. But if you do that in the regular section, you would also find it under the file section and in our homepage as well in the Welcome and Getting Started materials. In terms of our course, all of the information is going to be found under files, and you'll just be going through those one at a time. And then we will have exams, which will be under the quizzes section, and that will be the only way that we will be counting your material for this lab or for the course section. So we will have 5 exams and 1 final, and they're all denoted here in the course schedule. And they'll all be found online. Even if we do resume face-to-face format, we will be able to have them. I'll give you an access code. They'll be available on the day of the exam only, so you will have to let me know in advance if you're unable to make it on the day of the exam. I'll be able to send you a different link for a different date. That way we don't have anyone cheating with questions. Okay, so in terms of the lab course schedule, we're going to be using a lab book by Martini, and don't worry because apparently the bookstore is out of it, which means that I'm able to send you guys a PDF, which I think might actually lend itself better to this electronic learning format, because you're able to form fillable, use this documents form fillable, so you're able to fill it out and you'll be able to send screenshots or save sections of the PDF and then upload them to me as part of your class participation, indicating that you've completed that part of the lab. So for the first 3 weeks, we're kind of lucky because they're not going to be much in terms of what we would be missing in the laboratory. Hopefully we will be resuming face-to-face classes, in which case we'll be doing some dissections, etc., that we're going to be adding on to these lab schedules. But for the first week, we're going to be doing chapters 1 through 3. That's going to be safety and introduction and some of the organ overview. We'll be doing microscopy and cell division for week 2, membranes, epithelial tissue, and connective tissue for week 3. So let me flip back to the laboratory for a second here. For the laboratory, after you've completed the work from the manual, which again you can find in this Welcome and Getting Started section, if you flip down, I've put it here as the laboratory manual for anatomy and physiology. It's by Martini. You are recommended to purchase this when it is available in the bookstore, but for now we have this form fillable PDF. And then under the assignments section in the lab, I'm going to have places where you can upload the completion of these exercises from the lab manual. So you can just save them as PDFs and send them as uploads. They're worth 10 points each, which does add up because there's 11 of them, so that's 111 points that'll be used towards your class participation. And that in combination with the 3 lab exams, which again are going to be denoted on the recommended course schedule here. Exam 1 will be September 28th, October 19th, and I've consolidated this. I know everybody's in a lot of different lab sections, so it'll just be the week of for whatever your lab section is. So if you're on Monday, it'll be the actual 19th. If you're Tuesday, it'll be the 20th, etc. But if we're in online format, it'll just be available for you the day of your exam. For exam one, we'll be covering everything from the safety introduction, microscopy, and different types of tissue, epithelial tissue, etc., and membranes. We'll also be going over muscle tissue and neural tissue, and specifically skin and body membranes will all be on exam one. Exam two is going to be a little bit, I want to say it's less material, but it's actually going to be more material. These are very, very meaty sections. It's going to be the axial and the appendicular skeleton and articulation. And for this, we're going to be memorizing all of the bones, how the bones interact together, and then articulations means joints, so all of the joints, the knees, the elbows, shoulders, etc. as well. So that's actually a lot to put together, and that's why I've given that its own exam 2. And then the exam 3 will cover all of the organization of the muscles of the head and trunk, lower limbs, and extremities. And then also muscle physiology, nervous tissue, spinal nerves, and brain tissue, and then that'll be exam 3. And then we will also have a final, which will be cumulative of all of the material. So there's actually going to be 3 separate exams, 3 that are going to be individual to the material, and the final, which is going to be cumulative. On top of that, we're also going to have the 110 points that you can get from submitting your lab manuals, which will count towards your class participation. So some other things that I wanted to point out that are going to be very useful to you are going to be found, and I've consolidated it here so you can just click over. It's a histology guide. Let's scroll up. Here we go. In the getting started, we have several links. I apologize. That would be possibly over here. But those links are going to bring you to additional pages like this histology guide here, which is going to be very, very helpful when we start talking about different types of tissues, especially because you guys aren't going to be able to be using microscopes yourselves. It appears as though, because of the electronic learning format, that's going to be a lab we're going to have to skip over this semester. So you're going to be able to look at pictures that other people have taken while using the microscope, and this will be a way that you'll be able to demonstrate the different types of tissues. This is a fantastic atlas that's really going to be very helpful. It's got a little section here with this called the slide box. And it talks about all the different types of cells, and these basically are very similar to, if not identical to, the chapters that we're going to be going over with our lectures. So this is going to be a really helpful thing for you to be using in terms of the laboratory, and I'll be sending you weekly laboratory updates that tell you what we'll be going over in lab in addition to the actual exercises within the laboratory itself. So yes, here's the histology guide. This is in the file section of Bio 151 Lab. Okay, so I feel like I've touched on almost everything. Oh, here's my YouTube channel. Again, I've touched on that, I believe. This is mostly Anatomy 152 up, but we'll be getting Anatomy 151 up for you guys as well. If you need to contact me, my information is from that home page here. You just go straight to the instructor information page. And that has all of my information, including my email and my cell phone if you need to reach out to me. So you can reach out to me here. This is my Chaminade email. This is also my personal email. And then this is my cell phone. I ask that you refrain from calling me. Please just text me. It's a lot easier for me to be able to respond by text messages. Plus, I can find out that perhaps multiple people have the same problem within the same couple of hours. And then I can send out a mass blast email instead of responding to everyone individually. This semester office hours are by appointment only. And what we mean by that, I suppose, is by Zoom. Our lectures will not be held by Zoom, so you don't have to worry about making it for a specific lecture time. All of the lectures will just be posted here on the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see them at your leisure. And then we will also have a review session before each exam. I haven't scheduled those yet, but those will be held by Zoom meetings as well. Again, hopefully we'll be returning to face-to-face instruction, but if we don't, I have everything available for you in your Canvas web pages. So that concludes everything I wanted to talk to you about. It's a pleasure to e-meet all of you, and happy studying.